Welcome to the Facilitators Deep Dive Podcast, your podcast on your way to facilitation mastery.
Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going to be looking at two Japanese concepts, Ikigai and Kaizen. And we've got some excerpts from a book about them. You ever feel like work is just, well, work?
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe these concepts can help us figure out how to feel a bit more fulfilled, you know?
Yeah.
Maybe even excited to get going each day.
Right.
Let's start with Ikigai.
Okay.
It comes from Okinawa, an island known for its long-living residents.
Right.
The idea is that having a reason to get out of bed each morning,
Yeah.
a reason to get out of bed, a clear sense of purpose can contribute to a longer, happier life.
That's right. And the book really stresses that Ikigai is more than just a job.
Right.
It's like the intersection of four things.
Okay.
What you love to do, what you're good at, what the world needs, and what you can get paid for.
So it's not just about passion, but about finding that spot where your skills and passions can actually make a difference in the world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Think of it like a Venn diagram,
Yeah.
where each of these areas kind of overlaps.
Yeah.
And the closer you get to the center, where all four of those meet,
Yeah.
that's your Ikigai.
The book gives us really interesting example of professional video game players.
Oh, yeah.
So they obviously have tons of passion,
Yeah.
amazing skills,
Right?
but actually making a living at it long term
Oh,
is difficult. It's so difficult. Really highlights that get paid for part of the equation.
Yeah, for sure.
Have you ever felt that pull between passion and practicality when it comes to your work?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I think especially in the West, we focus so much on the career path
Yeah.
and self-development,
Yeah.
which, makes a lot of sense in a society where we're working so much.
Right. So how can we apply this Ikigai concept to our own lives, even if we're not, chasing a career change right now?
One suggestion from the book is to experiment, try different things.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a side hustle or volunteering in a new area. It's about uncovering your strengths and weaknesses,
Right.
discovering what really resonates with you.
That reminds me of that feeling when you're so engrossed in something that time just flies by.
Oh, yeah.
Like you're in the zone, totally focused, energized. Is there a connection there to Ikigai?
You're talking about flow.
Okay.
It's a term that was coined by psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi.
Yeah.
It's a state of complete absorption in an activity.
Right.
And you're right, when you're living in alignment with your Ikigai,
Yeah.
achieving that state of flow,
Yeah.
it becomes much easier.
Yeah.
Work feels less like a chore and more like something that you're drawn to.
Okay. So let's say we found our why with Ikigai.
Yeah.
That sweet spot that gives us a reason to jump out of bed each morning. How do we actually get there? How do we make that vision a reality?
That's where Kaizen comes in. It's another Japanese concept.
Right.
It emerged kind of in the post-World War II era, focused on continuous improvement
Okay.
through small incremental changes.
Okay.
Think less drastic overhaul and more like consistent baby steps.
I'm intrigued already.
Yeah.
It feels like the opposite of those intense go big or go home approaches we see so often.
Exactly. The book contrasts it with like the classic Rocky training montage.
Oh, yeah.
You have this burst of effort leads to this sudden victory. Kaizen's more like compound interest. Small, consistent actions that accumulate over time and create these incredible results.
They actually use a visual in the book of Stephen King's daily writing routine.
Oh, wow.
He aims for 2,000 words a day,
That's amazing.
which maybe doesn't sound like much,
Right.
but over decades has resulted in this massive body of work.
Yeah.
So how can we apply this Kaizen concept to our own lives?
The book outlines some practical Kaizen principles.
Okay.
There's the OPDCA cycle. Observe, plan, do, check, act. Provides a framework for continuous improvement in any area.
Okay.
Then there's the 5 whys technique,
Right.
where you keep asking why
Oh,
to get to the root cause of a problem.
so it's about understanding the why behind our actions and obstacles.
Yeah.
Not just blindly pushing forward.
Exactly. And another key principle is taking that consistent action, no matter how small.
Right.
Instead of waiting for that perfect moment,
Yeah.
trying to make these huge changes all at once.
Yeah.
Just focus on doing something every single day
Right.
that moves you closer to your goals.
Right.
It's like Jerry Seinfeld's calendar method,
Oh, yeah.
where he marks an X for every day he writes.
Mm-hmm.
Visually seeing that chain of progress
Yeah.
can be incredibly motivating.
I love that idea.
Yeah.
So it's not about grand gestures, but about those Those little wins that build momentum over time.
Right.
But how does this actually work in real life?
Well, the book applies Kaizen to these 3 specific challenges that so many people face.
Okay.
Procrastination,
Ugh, yes.
fitness,
Yeah.
and relationships.
Yeah.
Let's start with procrastination.
Oh, I think we can all relate to that one.
Right. The book breaks down the common triggers for procrastination into like 4 categories.
Okay.
Distraction,
Right.
fatigue, anxiety,
Yeah.
and then negative feelings associated with the task itself.
Right.
So for the first 3, they offer some pretty practical tips.
Okay.
Working on difficult tasks in the morning when your mind is fresh.
Okay.
Prioritizing sleep and exercise.
Uh-huh.
Using tools like the Pomodoro technique or website blockers to manage distractions.
So it's about setting yourself up for success by creating an environment that's conducive and managing your energy levels.
Exactly. But the 4th trigger,
Yeah.
negative emotional associations with a task.
Yeah.
This is where things get interesting.
Okay.
Imagine a student
Okay.
who suddenly finds out that his biology exam is crucial for his future success.
Okay.
His motivation to study is probably going to change dramatically.
Right. So it's all about our perception of the task's value.
Yeah.
If we view it as unimportant or unpleasant, we're much more likely to procrastinate.
Exactly. And this connects to a concept called bullshit jobs,
Oh, wow.
a term coined by anthropologist David Graeber.
Okay.
These are jobs that feel meaningless,
Yeah.
even if they pay well,
Right.
because they lack that essential connection to a greater purpose.
So even if we're getting paid well, if our work doesn't align with our values, with our sense of purpose,
Right.
we're more likely to feel unmotivated,
Yeah.
even resentful.
Absolutely. The book actually argues that this misalignment between our work
Yeah.
and our Ikigai
Yeah.
can be a major driver of procrastination and dissatisfaction.
It's not just about finding any job, but finding work that truly resonates with us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now moving on to fitness.
Another area I think we can all relate to.
The book starts by addressing the classic gym membership dilemma.
Oh, yeah.
You know, we have that initial burst of enthusiasm,
Right.
but then the logistics and the psychological barriers start to kind of wear us down.
Oh, I know that feeling. All that time spent driving, parking, changing. It's like a workout just getting to the gym.
Exactly. The book actually highlights how this journey to the gym
Yeah.
is actually wasteful motion,
Okay.
which is one of the 7 mutas,
Okay.
or forms of waste identified in the Toyota production system.
Interesting. So it's about making fitness as frictionless as possible.
Yeah. And they suggest considering a home gym
Okay.
as a way to eliminate some of those barriers.
Mm.
But even then, we often sabotage ourselves with these 2 common design mistakes.
Okay.
The first is that we put the equipment in an uninviting space,
Okay.
like a cluttered garage or a basement,
Right.
which makes it mentally harder to work out.
Oh, that is so true. My exercise bike is currently doubling as a clothes rack.
Right. The second mistake is choosing like complex or bulky machines.
Yeah.
That can feel really intimidating
Yeah.
and overwhelming.
Yeah.
The key is to start small, maybe with just a few dumbbells, and gradually build up your equipment as you develop a consistent routine.
I like that. So it's about creating an environment that invites you to work out, not one that makes you feel stressed or overwhelmed.
Precisely. And just like with Stephen King's writing routine, the book emphasizes the importance of tracking your fitness progress.
Okay.
It's not just about the data.
Yeah.
It's about building that trophy case
Yeah.
of accomplishments, watching those numbers improve, fueling your motivation.
So it's about celebrating those small wins along the way.
Absolutely.
That makes sense.
And here's a crucial point. Kaizen fitness, it's not about comparing yourself to fitness models or achieving some fleeting peak performance.
Right.
It's about building sustainable habits for a lifetime of health and well-being.
Okay, so we've tackled procrastination and fitness.
Right.
What about relationships?
Absolutely. The book starts by acknowledging that big relationship problems often stem from this buildup of small, seemingly insignificant issues.
Right.
Like imagine a couple arguing
Okay.
about who forgot the tartar sauce.
Right.
When the real issue is this deeper, lack of communication
Yeah.
or respect.
I've definitely seen that play out in real life.
Yeah.
You know, a minor annoyance becomes a huge blow up because there are all these unresolved issues simmering beneath the surface.
Exactly. And the book suggests using the 5 whys technique,
Oh, okay.
where you keep asking why
Yeah.
to get to the root cause of the problem.
Okay.
So in the tartar sauce scenario,
Right.
instead of blaming each other, you could ask, why was this forgotten? Why didn't we communicate better?
Okay.
Peeling back those layers
Yeah.
can help us understand the true source of the conflict.
That's a great strategy. It forces you to look beyond the immediate trigger and acknowledge any underlying patterns or unmet needs.
Right. And just like in any area where we're applying Kaizen,
Yeah.
communication is key.
Right.
The book really emphasizes the importance of creating a safe space where both partners feel comfortable expressing themselves honestly.
I imagine that involves active listening.
Yes.
Not just waiting for your turn to speak, but really trying to understand your partner's perspective.
Exactly. And it's about shifting from blame to understanding,
Right.
from accusations to empathy.
Right.
Even if you don't agree with your partner, you can still try to see the situation through their eyes.
The book also mentions this 110% rule
Oh, yeah.
for communication and relationships.
Right.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Yeah. It's a simple concept,
Yeah.
but it's really powerful.
Okay.
You ask yourself, what would it look like to go above and beyond in my communication with my partner?
Okay.
You know, this could involve being more mindful of your tone,
Right.
choosing your words carefully, giving them your full attention when they're speaking, validating their feelings, even if you don't fully understand them.
It's about putting in that extra effort.
Yeah.
Showing your partner that you truly value their thoughts and feelings.
Precisely. And it ties into another important point.
Okay.
Self-awareness.
Right.
We all have triggers, you know?
Yeah.
Those sensitive spots from past hurts or insecurities.
Yeah.
That can be really easily activated.
Right.
Recognizing your own triggers,
Yeah.
understanding your partners
Yeah.
can help you avoid unnecessary conflict and communicate more effectively.
So it's about learning to navigate those potentially explosive moments with more awareness and compassion.
Exactly.
Yep.
And the final principle,
Okay.
and perhaps the most challenging one that the book emphasizes is acceptance.
Right.
You can't change your partner,
Right.
no matter how much you might wish you could.
It's about letting go of those unrealistic expectations and learning to appreciate your partner for who they are.
Yeah.
Flaws and all.
Right. We all have strengths and weaknesses.
Right.
Focusing on what you appreciate about your partner,
Yeah.
rather than trying to mold them into some ideal version,
Right.
can make a huge difference in the long run.
That's a great reminder. But relationships aren't always just about romantic partnerships, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
These principles
Yeah.
can be applied to all kinds of relationships, friendships, family connections, even work relationships.
So it's about taking that Kaizen approach.
Yeah.
Those small, consistent actions.
Right.
To nurture and strengthen any relationship that's important to us.
Exactly. And speaking of other areas where we can apply Kaizen, the book also dedicates a chapter to mastering your finances using these same principles.
That's intriguing. Finances can be a source of stress for so many people.
Yeah.
How can something like Kaizen help with that?
Well, the book starts by highlighting the work of W. Edwards Deming, an American engineer and statistician
Okay.
who played a key role in Japan's post-World War II industrial revival.
I remember learning about Deming in business school.
Oh, yeah.
He's considered a pioneer of quality control.
Right.
And his ideas have influenced modern management practices around the world.
Absolutely. And what's fascinating is how many of his principles
Yeah.
align with Kaizen, even though they were developed independently.
Oh, wow.
Like, for example,
Okay.
Deming emphasized the importance of a continuous improvement mindset, empowering employees, focusing on quality over quantity,
Yeah.
and eliminating waste.
Those are all classic Kaizen concepts,
Yeah.
but how do they translate to personal finances?
Well, instead of asking, how can I get rich quick?
Right.
Deming would encourage us to ask, what small step can I take today to improve my financial situation in the long run?
So it's about shifting from that short-term, get rich quick mentality to a more sustainable long-term approach.
Exactly. It's about making those those small, consistent improvements
Right.
that add up over time.
Yeah.
Whether it's saving a little bit more each month, investing in your skills, or simply being more mindful of your spending habits.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
It's like that compound interest analogy you mentioned earlier.
Right.
Small, consistent actions that can lead to significant results over time.
Precisely. And just like in a factory, identifying and eliminating waste in your finances can have a huge impact.
Okay.
This could involve cutting unnecessary subscriptions,
Right.
negotiating lower fees, avoiding impulsive purchases, or simply being more organized with your money.
It's about plugging those little leaks in your financial boat
Yeah.
that can slowly drain your resources over time.
Exactly. And once you've eliminated waste,
Yeah.
the next step is to focus on your most crucial objectives.
Right.
What the book calls pushing the needle of success.
Right.
This could involve generating more income, building assets, or paying down debt.
So it's about prioritizing those actions that will have the biggest impact on your overall financial goals.
Right. It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day minutia.
Yeah.
But you need to make sure you're dedicating, enough time and energy
Right.
to the things that are actually going to move the needle.
And that requires discipline.
Yeah.
Learning to say no.
Yeah.
To distractions and opportunities that don't align with your core objectives.
Exactly. Remember that Warren Buffett quote.
Yeah.
The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything.
That's a powerful reminder. But I imagine there's also an element of luck involved in financial success, right?
The book does acknowledge that luck does play a role.
Yeah.
But it emphasizes the importance of being prepared for those chance encounters.
Right.
With fortune.
Yeah. It's like that saying, luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity.
Exactly. They share examples of successful entrepreneurs.
Okay.
Who didn't necessarily have a grand vision
Right.
from the start.
Right.
But they were prepared to seize those unexpected opportunities
Right.
when they arose.
So it's about being open to those course corrections, those
Yes.
emergent strategies.
Yeah.
That might take you in a completely different direction
Yeah.
than you initially planned.
Precisely. And that requires a certain level of trust.
Yeah.
A willingness to embrace uncertainty.
Yeah.
And adapt as you go. It's about knowing that even if you don't have all the answers, you can still navigate the journey and find your way.
This whole discussion about applying Kaizen to finances is so empowering.
Yeah.
It makes financial well-being seem so much more achievable, even if you don't have a background in finance.
Exactly. It's about applying those small, consistent actions, those Kaizen principles to build a solid foundation for a lifetime of financial security.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground with relationships and finances. What about physical health?
Absolutely. The book takes this refreshingly realistic approach.
Okay.
By starting to debunk these unrealistic fitness expectations.
Okay.
That we see so often. Like those get ripped in 30 days programs.
Those programs always seem so extreme and unsustainable. Like, sure, you might see these dramatic results in a short period.
Right.
But what happens after those 30 days?
Right. Most people end up reverting back to their old habits. Yeah. Because they haven't built those long-term sustainable changes.
Right.
The book emphasizes that Kaizen fitness. Yeah. It's about making these gradual adjustments. Yeah. And building healthy habits that you can maintain for a lifetime.
So it's not about crash diets or intense workout regimens, but about making small, consistent changes that add up over time.
Precisely. And one of the first areas the book tackles is our relationship with food.
Okay.
It's not about deprivation or strict rules, but about making mindful choices one meal at a time.
Right.
They suggest tracking your consumption of ultra-processed foods for a week.
Okay. Yeah.
Not to judge yourself.
Yeah.
But to become more aware of your habits.
Right.
And identify areas where you can make adjustments.
I think that's a great starting point, just becoming more conscious of what we're putting into our bodies can make a big difference.
Absolutely. And they also emphasize the importance of prioritizing protein and fiber,
Okay.
especially for breakfast.
Okay.
Research shows that this can help regulate blood sugar levels and reduce cravings throughout the day.
I've definitely noticed a difference in my energy levels
Yeah.
when I start the day with a balanced meal instead of just grabbing a sugary coffee on the go.
It's amazing how those small tweaks
Yeah.
can have such a significant impact on our overall well-being.
Yeah.
And along with nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
The book also highlights the importance of movement throughout the day.
Right.
Even if it's just standing up more often.
Yeah.
Or taking the stairs instead of the elevator.
So it's about finding those little opportunities to be more active.
Yeah.
Even if you don't have time for a full workout.
Exactly. It's about incorporating those micro movements.
Right.
Into your daily routine.
Mm-hmm.
And breaking up those long periods of sitting.
Right.
Which can be, detrimental to our health.
Speaking of workouts, what's the book's take on the classic gym membership dilemma?
Well, they actually break down all the wasteful motion
Right.
involved in going to the gym.
Yeah.
Like the commute,
Right.
the parking,
Right.
the changing,
Yeah.
the crowds.
Yeah.
For a lot of people, that's enough to discourage them
Yeah.
from working out consistently.
I can definitely relate to that. Sometimes it feels like a whole production.
Yeah.
Just to get to the gym.
Exactly. And that's why they suggest considering a home gym.
Okay.
Even if it's just a small space with a few pieces of equipment.
It's about eliminating those barriers.
Right.
And making exercise more accessible and convenient.
Right. But even with a home gym,
Yeah.
they point out these two common design mistakes that can sabotage our efforts.
Okay.
The first is we tend to put the equipment in the least desirable space.
Right.
Like a cluttered garage.
Oh, my treadmill is definitely guilty of that.
Which makes it mentally harder to work out.
Right. Yeah.
And the second mistake is choosing these complex or bulky machines
Yeah.
that can feel really intimidating and overwhelming.
Right.
They recommend starting small,
Okay.
maybe with just a few dumbbells,
Mm-hmm.
and gradually building up your equipment as you develop a consistent routine.
So it's about setting yourself up for success by creating an inviting workout space.
Yeah.
And choosing equipment that feels manageable and motivating.
Exactly. And just like with finances,
Yeah.
they emphasize the importance of tracking your progress.
Okay.
Whether it's the weight you're lifting, the distance you're running,
Mm-hmm.
or even just the number of workouts you're completing each week.
It's about celebrating those small wins along the way.
Right.
And seeing how far you've come.
And here's a really important message.
Okay.
Kaizen fitness. It's not about striving for some unattainable ideal.
Right.
Or comparing yourself to others.
Yeah.
It's about building sustainable habits for a lifetime of health and well-being.
Right.
It's about finding that balance, pushing yourself
Yeah.
without pushing yourself too hard,
Mm-hmm.
and enjoying the journey.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation.
Yeah.
It seems like Ikigai and Kaizen can really, really be applied to any area of our lives.
Yeah.
Where we're seeking improvement or
Right.
fulfillment.
Absolutely. And the key takeaway, I think, is that it's not about making, drastic changes overnight.
Right.
It's about embracing those small, consistent steps,
Yeah.
taken day after day, week after week, year after year.
Right.
It's about progress, not perfection.
It's about that journey, as you said.
Yeah.
And as we wrap up this deep dive,
Mm-hmm.
what's one final thought you'd like to leave our listeners with?
I would encourage everyone to think about one small step
Yeah.
they can take today to make their journey
Mm-hmm.
a little bit better. Doesn't have to be anything, grand or heroic.
Yeah.
Just one small step in the right direction.
I love that. So to all our listeners out there, what's your one small step? Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time. Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been talking about Ikigai and Kaizen and how we can use them in different parts of our lives. We talked about relationships, finances. What about our physical health? Does the book have any advice for that?
Yeah, it does. And it starts by kind of debunking those unrealistic fitness expectations.
Yeah.
Like those get ripped in 30 days programs.
Yeah, those programs always seem so extreme and unsustainable.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe you see these dramatic results, but only for a short period of time.
Right,
And
right.
then what happens after those 30 days?
Yeah, most people just go back to their old habits.
Right.
Because they haven't actually built those long-term changes, those sustainable changes. The book really emphasizes that Kaizen fitness. It's about making these gradual adjustments and building healthy habits
Yeah.
that you can keep up,
Yeah.
for your whole life.
So it's not about crash diets or those intense workout regimens,
Right.
but it's about making those small, consistent changes that add up over time.
Exactly. And one of the first things the book tackles is our relationship with food.
Okay.
And it's not about deprivation or these strict rules,
Yeah.
but it's about making mindful choices,
Yeah.
one meal at a time. They actually suggest tracking your consumption of ultra-processed foods for like a week.
Okay.
Not to judge yourself or anything,
Right.
but just to kind of become more aware of your habits
Yeah.
and identify areas where you can make those small adjustments.
I think that's a great starting point.
Yeah.
Just becoming more conscious of what we're eating can make a big difference.
Absolutely. And they also emphasize the importance of prioritizing protein and fiber,
Oh.
especially for breakfast, because research shows that this can help regulate your blood sugar levels and reduce those cravings throughout the day.
I've definitely noticed a difference in my energy levels when I start the day with a balanced breakfast instead of just grabbing a donut or something.
Right. It's amazing how those small tweaks can have such a big impact on our well-being.
Right.
And along with nutrition, the book also highlights movement
Right.
throughout the day.
Yeah.
Even if it's just standing up more often
Right.
or taking the stairs instead of the elevator.
So it's about finding those little opportunities to be more active, even if you don't have time for a full workout.
Exactly. It's about incorporating those micro movements into your daily routine and breaking up those long periods of sitting,
Right.
which we know can be detrimental to our health.
Right. Right. Speaking of workouts, what's the book's take on the classic gym membership?
Well, they actually break down all that wasteful motion involved in going to the gym. The commute, the parking, the changing, the crowds, all that.
Yeah. Sometimes it feels like a whole production just to get to the gym.
Yeah, and that's why they suggest considering a home gym,
Yeah.
even if it's just a small space,
Right.
with a few pieces of equipment.
Yeah. It's about eliminating those barriers
Right.
and making exercise more accessible, more convenient.
Right. But even with a home gym, they point out these two common design mistakes
Okay.
that can sabotage our efforts.
Yeah.
The first is we put the equipment in like the least desirable space, like a cluttered garage, a dark basement.
Oh, my treadmill is definitely guilty of that.
Right. And the second is choosing these complex or bulky machines.
Yeah.
That can feel really intimidating.
Yeah.
So they recommend starting small, maybe with just a few dumbbells, and gradually build up your equipment as you develop a consistent routine.
So it's about setting yourself up for success with an inviting workout space, an equipment that feels manageable and motivating.
Exactly. And just like finances, they emphasize the importance of tracking your progress, whether it's the weight you're lifting, the distance you're running, or even just the number of workouts you're completing.
Yeah.
Each week.
It's about celebrating those small wins and seeing how far you've come.
Right. And here's a really important message. Kaizen fitness. It's not about striving for some unattainable ideal or comparing yourself to others. It's about building sustainable habits.
Yeah.
For a lifetime of health and well-being. It's about finding that balance, pushing yourself, but not too hard, and enjoying the process.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation.
Yeah.
It seems like Ikigai and Kaizen can really be applied to any area of our lives where we're seeking improvement or fulfillment.
Absolutely. And the key takeaway, I think, is not about making those drastic changes overnight.
Right.
It's about those small, consistent steps, day after day, week after week, year after year.
Right.
It's about progress, not perfection.
It's about the journey.
Yeah.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's one final thought you'd like to leave our listeners with?
I would encourage everyone to think about one small step they can take today to make their journey just a little bit better. Doesn't have to be anything big, just one small step in the right direction.
I love that. So to all of our listeners out there, what is your one small step? Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone. We'll see you next time.
See you next time on the Facilitators Deep Dive Podcast, your podcast on your way to facilitation mastery. Until next time.
See you then.